Okay, so here's the story about OzzyBenOswald and how Nico Haupt has that kind of quality of being able to like initiate you, because I've been through so many different kinds of initiations, and he definitely carries that initiator energy. One day he came into my apartment. I don't know if Molly was there or I think somebody was there with me, and he made this comment. He said he was sort of in this remorseful kind of wistful moods, possibly angry too. You know, Nico's always got a lot of his moods laced with anger. And he was saying that no planers were in this tragic position, that they couldn't get any women. And that there was a psy-op. I was just beginning to learn the word psy-op for making the sexes separate. You know, by having this emphasis on homosexuality, or what, I mean, he later on qualifies the cool gays. And he said, for example, you know, here I am living in this place, you know, downtown in this old warehouse, and we can't get any girlfriends, because obviously which women, you know, what women would want to go to surroundings like that. And having been that kind of a woman that wouldn't want to go into surroundings like that, I could relate to the difficulty of the situation. But at the same time, the gratitude that I had for being able to explore the no planes knowledge was such that I thought, wow, you know, that is so deep, that here these men are in society that should be rewarded. I don't know if reward is quite the right word, but honored in some way, and they're not. They can't even get laid. And it was like, you know, this massive initiation. So that was the seed that was sort of ruminating around inside me. Within a day or so, I was just in a silly mood, and I let the cameras roll, and I always tell myself, Paula, you don't have to use this, you know, just because you make it doesn't mean you have to post it. Practically any time I make something in a mood like that, I not only post it, it becomes wildly successful, because it comes from this very playful, exploring kind of place. So in this case, I thought, well, let's see. You know, Nico seemed too close to home. You know, I wasn't just going to run down to the, you know, to Warren 12 and express the gratitude of America for the work that they're doing, you know, via my body. But I really got the problem. So I thought, let me pick out the one that I admire the most. And OzzyBenOswald had this very clever, intellectual way of turning a phrase and expressing things succinctly. He could take you through the topic and make it kind of fun. And so you get attracted to that energy. I think they say women are not as visually attracted to people, but they're very turned on by good mental apparatus. So it was before Christmas, and I just ran this thing about so many shopping days before Christmas, and I set the cameras, and I got back, and I got into my red dress that I got in Bangkok for $10. That I've had a lot of interesting experiences with that red dress. I remember once being told in the ashram, women are never supposed to, they have to be all clothed. And I was just sort of new on the scene, and we were setting up the cameras, and we were by the pool in this hotel, waiting to get this interview with the Swami. And he came in, and I didn't expect him. We were doing the doctor that stayed by his body when he would leave his body. That was the story we wanted, and that's the person we expected to deal with. We didn't expect the Swami to come by. So he came by, and I thought, holy shit, I'm really not wearing, ashram regulation gear. And I'll never forget, he came over and put his hand on my shoulder, like to say, it's cool. And I thought, it was like, it was okay. It's like you get special dispensation. So that was one of the experiences that happened in that dress. So that was the dress that I put on because it was the most Christmassy thing. It looked sexy. And I said, hey, Ozzy. Now, the only thing that wasn't in good faith about that was that I thought if I could get this guy from wherever he was, some people thought he was in Canada, to come to California, then just that in itself would be like, if you say A, then you got to say B, but you sort of throw the energy back and forth, and then maybe there would be some momentum build up. Maybe he liked older women. You're never going to know. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I put it out there. But the only part that was in bad faith was if he had responded, I already had my ticket to California first to see my father, and I really, really was concerned about my father at the time, and I wouldn't have hung around, not for any reason. But I always thought, well, maybe, I could, if he did bite, I could sort of put it off until January. So I was very sincere about that, and I would have walked through with the challenge. I've done that. I did that in college. Somebody intellectually convinced me that I should sleep with him because I didn't have any. It was UC Santa Cruz. It was kind of a place where people would explore things, and so. I wasn't attracted to him. I didn't want to sleep with him, but then it seemed as though I did not want to. So I wound up spending the night. Well, I don't think we all spent the whole night because he wanted to make love, but he couldn't get an erection. After all that, we're sitting in bed and nothing's happening. It was kind of like, well, why don't you listen to me? I kind of knew this. Intellectually, he won the argument, but. It didn't happen how I wanted. So I'm definitely one to follow through on anything I start. And there was some people write to me, and some of them are really very charming and fun, and it just sort of looks like somebody you'd want to at least meet. And there was one guy, I gave him a window of opportunity for about 4 hours, and I was just sweating bullets, because it is scary to put something out there you don't know who's going to show up. And as soon as the time limit went over, I thought, oh, phew, and now I can kind of go back to, being my, postmenopausal self. But let's see, what else about Ozzy? Oh, yeah, here's the thing. The thing that I know that Nico did an initiation and a shift, and I'm glad that I followed it through and did that, was Nico would call up within the next few weeks, and he'd always say, oh, have you heard from Ozzy? And there'd be a little, figurative twinkle in his eye. You could see that putting that kind of energy out there, trying to make something real, to physicalize it, was a really good direction. So I would like to show people there's a lot of misunderstandings about who is really who, and until people come in front of the camera or actually have a physical meeting, like my dear cameraman here, you really don't know, do you? But when you do start in that direction, I think it is a process of manifestation. I think it's good, and I think, the sexual allure is something that we want to explore, and I think it's something to be playful with. So I'm glad I gave it a shot. I will read some of the early letters that I got from OzzyBenOswald, and, I'll put it out and people can see. But I definitely think that No Planes is a psy-op. If people object to that, then I would like to see some physical expression, at least in front of the camera, of Holmgren. We have seen Genghis, he's come in front of the camera, but I'd like to see a little more interaction, because so often I tell people to come on my show and then I've got millions of things to do, and I don't follow it up, I don't even think about it that much. I just sort of notice, hey, this person dropped the ball. Whereas meanwhile, I've got a doctor in Italy who's treating cancer using the paradigm of cancer being a fungus. Really exciting stuff. You take a camera, you go down in the body, you see the white spory things on the tumor. He says in all cases the tumors have this, which indicates it's a fungus. Really intense stuff. Well, it took a little while, I think, to go through the Italian, but now I'm in correspondence with him all the time. He wants to make it happen. And, a cancer doctor with a radically different cancer therapy would be very inclined to be a little secretive. So why aren't these people coming out? That's my question. And if you are uptight and mad at me for calling No Planes a psy-op, well, so be it. If you have another strategy or method to bring deeper truth out, I'm all for it. But I think physical encounters are important. So that's it. Thanks for joining me.